Hi everyone, Jen here. I'm the founder and executive director of the Muddy Pug Farm and Sanctuary outside of Maple Valley, Washington, and we are here for the next chapter of One Day I Want to Have a Farm Sanctuary, and we are still in chapter 1 where we dispel some fantasy versus reality. And the next section of this chapter is a really tough one because there will come a time when you will do something with the absolute best of intentions and it will cause the death of a resident. And I am here with our resident kitty babies, Jason, who is, we call him the kitty baby because he is super snuggly, very sweet, very affectionate. And this is his sister, Mrs. Voorhees. Jason and Mrs. Voorhees came onto the sanctuary because we answered a call where, super common in rural communities, a farm was sold and a mama barn cat is left behind with a couple of other animals on a property. And so we answered a call to bring them onto the sanctuary, and because their mom was a barn cat, they were being raised as outdoor cats. Jason and Mrs. Voorhees are outdoor cats. They live in the barn. Actually, the whole sanctuary is their domain, but they spend most of their time kind of in or around the barn, but they do range around the sanctuary. They strut around the sanctuary like they own it. But this is the challenge, and having barn cats or outdoor cats on a sanctuary is an extraordinarily controversial topic. And it's a controversial topic because philosophically sanctuaries bring residents onto the sanctuary so they could just be. So they can be themselves, they can just exist and live a peaceful life, and they don't necessarily have a job to do. Because they're outdoor cats, they might be out hunting. And that is where the very controversial part of having barn cats on a sanctuary is that you have residents who may cause harm to other animals on the sanctuary or may cause harm to residents. And this is where we had a huge challenge early on with Jason and Mrs. Voorhees. So as they got older and they were ready to be barn cats and be around on the sanctuary, we brought on 5 hen residents that needed a good home, and we felt like we took every precaution to protect them. We have a large coop area and garden area that are fully fenced off. We had no dig around the perimeter. We had avian netting over every single part of the top of those areas. So we thought that nothing could get in and nothing could get out. But what happened roughly a year and a half ago was that Jason and Mrs. Voorhees chewed their way through the avian netting, and they got in and they killed 2 of the hen residents. And it was so difficult for so many reasons. I mean, these guys are so wonderful and loving and affectionate and so deserving of a good home, as were the hens were Miss Bates, named her after a character from Emma, and then the other little hen, we called her the football because the easiest way to carry her was to tuck her under your arm like a football. And the name just kind of stuck. But they were sweet little banty hens, and they were also equally deserving of having a great and long life. And I really took the loss of Miss Bates and the football hard because I felt responsible that I brought Jason and Mrs. Voorhees onto the sanctuary. Like, they are now very big cats, and so it was really difficult to know that I did something, even with the best intentions for everyone, that caused the death of 2 residents. And I still feel conflicted, even though I know that they would be doing what they're doing anywhere that they were. And here we're able to give them a really good and loving life. But it's not without controversy. It has not been without a casualty. Kind of tears me up to think about Miss Bates and the football, and that they were killed by 2 other residents. Which is not to say that residents on sanctuaries don't face all kinds of dangers. You know, the toughest part of sanctuary work is, and this is true just in life in general, like, even with the absolute best intentions, you are going to do something that, you know, inadvertently causes hurt, or even something that can cause great harm to someone else. And you have to find a way to reflect on it, to give it the appropriate amount of consideration and reflection, and think about what you can do better next time, what you've learned from the experience. It is so easy, though, especially in sanctuary work where you are here to protect and honor animals, to go beyond that healthy self-reflection and be disproportionately angry with yourself, to feel ashamed, to kind of lose yourself in grief, to just sort of like self-flagellate in a way that's not productive and not helping you move forward. And this is a line of work that is so difficult. You are, as I said in the last chapter, you are physically exhausted, you are emotionally exhausted, you can be stressed out for all manner of reasons, and you can want to do your absolute best, and you are still going to have something terrible happen to a resident, and you are going to have to find a way through that. So, you know, in the last chapter, I talked about if you are not really resilient in a way that helps you make sense of the work of a sanctuary, something else to really think about is how you deal with making mistakes, how you deal with really making bad mistakes that harm somebody else. And if you are still learning how to move through your mistakes, and you are still learning how to do that and manage shame and manage grief and manage self-compassion and self-reflection, again, like, this might not be the line of work for you, because it will push you very hard in this area. And, you know, for all of us, even outside of sanctuary work, being able to forgive yourself, being able to look at others who are doing the work of self-reflection and, you know, trying to find a better path for themselves. Like, everybody deserves that grace and compassion, especially ourselves. And if you cannot give it to yourself, you can't give it to anybody else. Stay tuned for the next section. Thank you to everyone who supports our work, to the team at the Muddy Pug, for the people who support us through volunteering, who provide financial support and donations. We could not do this work without you. With so much love from the Muddy Pug.